Guys, I haven't been on here in a long time. People that have been following me, you know that. But today I got something in the mail that was so exciting, I just had to make a YouTube video about it. And that is the all-new DJI Osmo Action 5. Check it out. Guys, if you're new here, my name's Jackson. I'm an action sports filmmaker who's been traveling for the last 5 or so years filming the best action sports athletes on the planet when it comes to snow and surf and pretty much every other element of action sports. And today, I just wanted to bring you a review of a really exciting piece of camera tech that just hit the market, the DJI Osmo Action 5. I'm fired up about this thing. This is just gonna be an initial review video with my early thoughts, doing some basic comparisons and letting you guys know what I think about it. Now, before we get into this video, guys, I do want to be transparent with you that I was sponsored by DJI to do this. They sent me the camera early so that I could make this review. That being said, I'm not going to be unfair about it. I'm going to tell you everything that I think they did great on and everything that I think they can do better with. Without further ado, let's dive into it. First things first, let's start with price. The DJI Osmo Action 5 costs $379 for just the camera and $479 for the Adventure Combo. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when they sent this to me early, they sent me the Adventure Combo. Oops. And I was so excited about it that I pretty much just ripped the box open and didn't save anything. But the Adventure Combo comes with this battery pack with 3 batteries inside it, new batteries, we'll touch on those later. And I think this ND filter kit came inside it, but honestly, I've gotten so much stuff from DJI over the last freaking 3 years that I can't remember if it came with an ND filter kit or not, so don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it did. Other than that, it came with like some cords and stuff, but the main thing you need to know is the Adventure Combo comes with 3 extra new batteries, the battery charging case, and then the camera itself, of course. Which one do I think is worth it? I would probably spend $100 extra just to get the case. Touch on that stuff later. Taking a closer look at the form factor of the camera and comparing it to the DJI Osmo Action 4, we can see it is pretty much the same, which is good in my opinion. This means that we can use the same batteries, even though there's an upgraded one, but we'll get to that later, like I said. And we can use all of our old mounts. Cosmetically though, the body looks slightly different with some texture and a kind of octagonal. We can see that the front LCD is a bit bigger. There's 4 lines on the top speaker instead of 6 dots, and there's a little DJI branding on the underside near the mounting system. Before we get into what's new, I want to talk about the basics, honestly. Reliability, how durable is it, all that stuff. And I had no glitches, no filming problems, no battery freeze-ups, no SD errors in my whole trial and error process while filming early with this camera. On top of that, battery lasted as it should, and I dropped the camera plenty of times and you don't have to worry about it. They've built action cameras so tough these days that dropping and shock proofness and all of that stuff is definitely trustable, and that goes without saying on the Osmo Action 5, but to be honest, that's to be expected. I feel like I shouldn't even have to explain it. So now the part that matters, what's new? Every time a new camera comes out, we want to know where the upgrades are and if it's worth the money. Well, first things first, let's talk about the sensor. Now the sensor is the same size, 1/1.3, but apparently it's entirely revamped. Instead of being a 10 megapixel sensor like the DJI Osmo Action 4, this one has a 40 megapixel sensor. That's a big jump. I don't know how noticeable it will be because at the end of the day, we're dealing with an action camera sensor, so it's not gonna be comparable like a full frame camera sensor, but that's a big jump. 1/1.3 size sensor is the biggest sensor on the market. The big sensor basically just means better low light performance, generally better image quality, and better dynamic range. Now with this new sensor, we're supposed to get 13.5 stops of dynamic range compared to its previous 10.2. And at the end of the day, since there's a new sensor, I tend to believe that there's probably a little bit of a different look. So I put the cameras side by side and did some testing. Let's compare the footage now. Now on top of footage comparison, I also wanted to see if this 10 to 40 megapixel jump was notably different. So I did some photo tests. Let's throw up some of these photos side by side. Do we see any differences here? Anything notable? I'll even punch in. Is details better? What are we thinking? Now, one of the new features that I'm most excited about is this all new AI slow motion that's built into the camera. This feature is pretty special for me, and one of the key reasons I think to buy an action camera is to be able to capitalize on the high frame rates, because when you're filming action sports, to be able to slow down the fast-paced action and see the beauty in every trick or jump or whatever it is, it's really important. And this new AI feature, you can click a button in camera and it will take your 4K 120 FPS shot and convert it to what I think is 900 FPS, slowing it down drastically and using AI to bring your 4K clip to a crazy slow version, actually, and still holding up on quality. It's insane. The only thing I noticed is a little bit of weird smearing here, but maybe that's because I was shooting at a 1:250 shutter and I had an ND filter on, so I'm curious to try this mode with higher shutter speeds and just keep playing with it. But either way, super psyched to have a crazy slow motion feature built into this camera and to have quality look that good. Another feature, basic, but I think could be overlooked, is 47 gigabytes of internal storage on this thing. Now that for me is actually pretty important, because with sickos, we have so many action cameras, so many SD cards, and we lose them all the time or we fill them up, and then next thing you know, you forget an SD card on the shoot, you're usually screwed. Well, with built-in internal storage, you're not. So no matter what, you forget your SD card, you're gonna be able to record and get through the day, or at least get yourself to a point where you can go find another SD card. To me, that's a big win. There's also a built-in air pressure, water gauge, and elevation meter. I noticed while I was filming on the camera, it would tell my elevation in meters, and I actually thought that was pretty cool. I don't know exactly why I'd use it, but I thought it was pretty cool. For the water and air pressure gauge, I'm sure that'd be useful for divers to keep monitor of their camera. That's not me, it's not what I tend to film, so am I gonna utilize it? Probably not, but cool to see it in there. Another new addition is built into the 10-bit D-Log-M color profile. It's nothing crazy, but it actually is helpful. When you go to the D-Log Color M profile now, you will see a color review setting that you can turn on, and now you can preview your clips as to what they will look like when they do get color. So it just kind of helps you visualize exactly what the scene's gonna look like instead of only seeing it shot super flat, which is what we could only see previously on the Osmo Action 4. D-Log and 10-bit is huge. You gotta get a camera, in my opinion, that offers this, because it just gives you so much flexibility with dynamic range and color. If you don't know what 10-bit means, it's basically just more information for your camera to change the colors around if you're in a really colorful scene like a garden or something, or if you're in somewhere that's really contrasty. You just have way more flex over shadows, highlights, color hues, all of that bit. And one of the most overlooked things in action cameras footage that I see people do is they're not coloring it right. And if you can nail your colors, you can make action camera footage look really freaking pro. I have LUTs that I offer and tailor-made for all action cameras that I have linked in the description below. If you're overwhelmed by D-Log footage, all you gotta do is download my LUTs, shoot in D-Log, and then drag and drop. Or you can search up YouTube videos and figure it out. It'll take a little bit of time, but I promise it's not that overwhelming. You'll be able to get there, and I highly recommend you put in the time or get a LUT to figure it out. Coloring your action camera footage is the key. So let's talk about the new battery. The new battery is cool because it's the exact same form factor as the old one, which means we can use all our old batteries in our new camera, which you always love, but they just made internal improvements, and now the battery's advertised to last 4 hours instead of 2, so double the time. That's pretty insane. And I will say, during my testing, I left both cameras on the whole shoot, recorded an equal amount of time, came back to the car at the end of the shoot, and guess what? The DJI Osmo Action 5 was at 3/4 battery, while the Osmo Action 4 was under half. So the battery's definitely better, and quite a bit better. Also, if you don't know about the previous models, this case right here also acts as a portable charger. You attach a USB-C cable to a USB-C cable here, and your portable charging battery case can charge your camera in under 20 minutes to 80%, and then you get another like 2 hours of shooting. So it's pretty freaking cool. Battery case is is special for that reason, and I highly recommend upgrading to the Pro Combo Pack just so that you get that thing, because it's pretty sweet. Not only you get 3 batteries, but you can also charge your camera on the go. Now for resolution and frame rates, we don't really see any new improvements other than the AI slow motion that I was talking about. One thing that we do see that is new is 4K 120 FPS while shooting in 4:3 mode. We now have access to ultra wide field of view, which is actually huge. And one of the things that I really wish Osmo Action 4 had was the ability to capture ultra wide with 120 FPS in 4K, and now we can do it in the all new 4:3 mode. When shooting POV shots, you want to shoot them as wide as possible, and you want usually as much slow motion as possible, especially for a sport like surfing where maybe you're getting barreled and you want the wave to just slow down and you want to be able to see your board and your hands and your feet. That makes it way more immersive. All in all, super fired up to see that we have that option available. Now, as for the mounting system, nothing changed, and thank God nothing changed, because it's the best damn thing to ever hit the market. Magnetic clip system, boom, you just snap it on, it latches, and it's super sturdy and solid, and then you can just hot swap to other magnetic mounts and change it on the fly. Now, if I were to tell you what I think is missing on this camera, personally, I think we're all waiting for the quantum leap. That is 4K at 240 FPS or higher. You know, I think our goal with action cameras and our goal as action sports filmmakers is to get the highest resolution with the highest frame rates possible, and we've been stuck at that 4K 120 FPS period for a long time. So I'm really just waiting for that upgrade. It's cool to see that AI is coming into the game a bit and doing it, but you know, to have it native built into the camera where we don't have to deal with like frame blending and stuff is going to be a big one. So I'd love to see that hopefully in the next model or one of these years. Someone's got to do it. Another thing I wish that we had on the Osmos is something like the media mod. It's basically this built-in compact shotgun microphone that GoPro makes, and it just has a windscreen on it and makes it really good audio even when things are windy. I've noticed the DJI does a pretty good job with their internal mics. I've actually been very impressed with them, and they also offer the DJI mic that's a lav mic that connects seamlessly, so it's not a big deal, but that is something that would be cool to see, housing with a shotgun mic. Last thing I would love to see would be something like an ultra wide angle, something like a max lens mode, you know, where we can get super ultra wide footage with super slow motion. Again, nobody's been able to crack the code of figuring out how to make it super duper wide while also super duper slow, but when we get that, that will be huge for me. That's how surf footage looks good, and any POV action shots where you want to slow time down. So what's my final verdict on the camera? Well, I think it's amazing, and I've thought that pretty much all the Osmo Actions are amazing since the release of the 3 and above. I just am in love with their reliability, their battery's performance, and frankly with the look of the camera. I think they're great. Now, if you own an Osmo Action 4 and you're questioning if it's worth the upgrade, I don't think that it is. But if you own an Osmo Action 3, I do think that's justifiable. Or if you don't own an action camera / don't own a DJI action camera and are looking for a new alternative in the space, I highly recommend checking them out. I have not been disappointed by the cameras yet, haven't let me down, and I think they are a great option, especially the all-new Action 5. So good work, DJI. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feels good to be back on YouTube, and hopefully I'll be releasing more reviews and camera stuff just like this in the coming future. Thanks so much, guys. Subscribe if you're new here, and I'll catch y'all later.